So if you spend a lot of time sitting, you'll find yourself in this position here. So the hip is at 90 degrees. And we know that the thing that we practice most is what we get good at. So if we're practicing sitting in this position, the body is going to get really comfortable sitting in this 90-degree hip position. But with that can come some problems. You might find it really hard to lift your leg up. So this compression or this hip flexion might be difficult for you. And also extension of the hip. You might feel really tight and weak through this area. So I'm going to show you two exercises today. One of them is called the long lunge and also pike compression lifts to help to strengthen and lengthen the hip flexors. The exercise I want to show you is called the long lunge. There's a few ways to do this. You're going to grab hold of a pole or a post in front of you, place the leg just in front, and we're going to stretch this back hip flexor here. From here, we can take a look at the knee. If you want to increase your ankle dorsiflexion, you can have the knee come further forward. If you want to stretch the hamstring slightly, you can bring this leg a little further forward so you're getting a light stretch to that hamstring. But remember, the focus is on the back hip flexor, so we don't want to have that leg dead straight. We want to concentrate on that back leg, not like the front split. So bringing that leg up just like this so we can create leverage, push from the heel and pressing back into the hip flexor. And this post is here so we can press into it, not pull but press. So again, we can transfer that energy and the weight into that hip flexor to give it a deeper stretch. From here, once we're set up, we're going to try to keep the hip down. It's important that we don't stand tall and come back down. We want to keep the hip where it is, nice and square, facing forward. We're going to lift the knee off the ground, push the heel backwards, and try to lengthen that hip flexor here. Try to straighten the leg. If you can't straighten the leg, that's okay. Work towards that. So we do 5 contract and relax for 5 seconds for 1 set. So we come up, squeeze, keep that hip down, hip nice and square, squeeze, 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 5 seconds, drop. And each time you drop, you want to sink this hip down lower towards the floor like this. So again, we come up, squeeze, 5 seconds, drop the knee, breathe out, and drop into it. So that's lengthening the hip flexor. That one's called the long lunge. So rep range for the long lunge is 5-second contraction, squeezing for 5 seconds, and then dropping down for about 5 to 10 seconds in that passive position. And you want to do that 5 times per leg. Once you've done that, we can move through into our pike compressions. There's a few different ways to do this. I also like to do this in the straddle position. It really is helpful for my press to handstand and stall to press. But for today, we're going to keep it in a straight line position or in a pike position just here. We want to place the hands down on the floor. The further back you go, the easier it's going to be. So you can create leverage leaning back, counterbalancing the weight of the legs. So if you feel like you need to lean back a little further, you can do that. Also another option, if you feel like your hip flexors aren't strong enough to lift off the ground, you can do 1 leg at a time. So you're concentrating on the left and then the right. And then as you get stronger, you can move them both together. This is also a core strengthening exercise as well, but we're really working on hip flexion and compression as well. So to work on the compression part, we want to move the hands slowly forward. Maybe we can get to this position here, keeping that chest down, and then we go further forward again and just progress this over time. 4 reps, I would do 10 reps, so up and down, either one of the progressions that you choose or that's suitable for you currently, and then keep progressing that over time. 10 reps and then a nice long hold, about a 10-second hold here, protracting, compressing as much as you possibly can. So compressing, we want to try to get the stomach and the quads connected as close as we possibly can. Make sure you breathe throughout. I know that it's a really difficult movement. So we've got 2 exercises for the hip flexors. We've got our hip opening, extension, and also our flexion.